So I was right. Xaku's quite bad. In fact, Xaku ended up slightly worse than I predicted. And that's because I thought Xaku's void damage would, be able to do some of the things that were previously locked only to our operator. But that's not the case. Xaku deals this fake void damage on all abilities except Vast Untime, which is the 4th ability. That one actually does real void damage. And I already know what you guys are thinking. Does this work on Eidolons? And the answer is no. Despite actually being able to do real void damage, Eidolons are hard-coded not to take damage from Warframes unless their shields are down. So, in order for DE to enable Xaku to deal damage to Eidolons, they would have to completely redo how Eidolons take damage. And doing so could also leave the game open to a lot of bugs and exploits. So that's probably the reason why we haven't seen Xaku go down the route of an Eidolon hunter. But if I had to sum Xaku up, Xaku is Vauban both extra steps. And not even Vauban's whole kit, just Bastille divided into separate parts. I'm recording this before Xaku's buff, and the reason I'm doing this is because I'm confident that those changes will not help Xaku out that much. Xaku needs new powers, and I'll show you why in a bit. But I've actually had some trouble figuring out what to build Xaku for. But once I figured out that basically it's just Bastille divided into several different parts, I started to focus more on duration than I did range, because Xaku's base range on some of the abilities are actually quite high, except for Grasp of Block here. Grasp of Block you can't recast them all, but they are changing this so you can recast this. And the absurd energy cost of Vast Untime. What makes this so energy hungry is that it has a base energy cost of 100, and it drains energy. So you need to have efficiency mods in here. Now they are changing this to be strictly a duration ability and no longer a toggle, but 100 base energy is still very, very high. And I thought we were well past having duration toggle abilities that cost really high and also drain energy. I thought we were done with that post efficiency nerf, but I guess not. Now you also have to have 200% power strength in order for Gaze to strip 100% of the enemy defenses. So there's a lot you sort of need to build for. As much as I'd like to have more range here, it's just I really can't build for anymore because I need to have duration so I'm not spamming my abilities because they cost so much. So it's really tough to build for Xaku, honestly. I really hope they increase the base defense reduction so that way we won't have to use as much power strength. But Jesus Christ, it's kind of a nightmare to build for. But I guess the good thing about it is I can have multiple gazes up at a time. So that's why I decided to skimp a little on range. But everything else, it's just not very good. Now here's what I mean when I say it's just Bastille divided into separate parts. So I'll show you against our corrupted heavy gunners. Right? So we have Gaze, Bastille Part 1, defense reduction. Bastille Part 2 is the actual CC part. We're actually lift enemies in a straight line. Why is this not a cone? I don't know. I'm already out of energy. Give me a second. All right. Right? And then I also need the extra damage that Vauban gets with his passive, so let me just activate this and this. And as you can see, it's just Bastille. Why would I cast this many abilities when Vauban can just do all of this in one? Right? All Vauban has to do, right? He doesn't even really need power strength. He can just cast Bastille and wait. So I really don't get why Xaku's kit is the way it is. It makes no sense. And like I said already, is Xaku's 2 has a very short range by default, so it's pointless to build for range at the same time because it's just so small that it really wouldn't amount to anything that good anyways, and you can't recast it at all. Now again, that's changing. And then there's Accuse, which is the one ability I haven't showed off that's part of the Lost. Now it's sort of like a mass mind control, but instead of the enemies being similar to irradiated Revenants mind control targets, they're allied to you. And what that means is you can't deal damage to them, but they can't deal damage to you unless you melee them, of course. But again, I don't know why they decided to do that. Of course, since they're allies, I can't kill them. I have to wait for the duration to run out. But that ability is literally only good against sentience and nothing else. Speaking of sentience, There is one good interaction that I found with Void damage status effect, from Xaku's 1. And the Void status effect is basically a mini magnetized bubble, and it's honestly not that good, and it's only really good for like amps, and it forces you to hit body shots. So already not great, but the one interaction it does have is with split flights in particular, right? So I have a Daikyu here with split flights. This is just a Riven, don't worry about it. Now what I'm about to show you may crash your computer, but with the magnetized bubble that the Void status effect has, and with split flights and the Daikyu, it can actually hit the enemy multiple times. And if you say you're fighting like a battlist and it uses its shared damage reduction ability, right? You can get a Void status effect on everybody, and then the arrows will explode and then chain to everyone else, and that actually causes a lot of lag. Now this is only possible in the Simulacrum right now, unless they add a sentient survival to the sentient tile set. But here, so what I'm gonna do, hit him with 4 so I can slow him down a bit, activate my 1, and just shoot him a little. And you see it's hitting them multiple times, and it's doing quite a lot of damage. He's not using the shared ability, but oh, there it is, and here comes the lag. But as you can see, the arrows with the Void magnetized bubble are doing quite a bit of damage. Now, it's most effective against the sentients, but against regular enemies, it kind of works too, but you're just not going to get lag like you will against the sentients, specifically the sentient battlists. I'm just going to slow them down a little, and then activate my 1. But it basically patches up Split Flights' weakness, is that basically you can't miss with this ability, but you also can't really hit headshots with the Void status effect. So there's ups and downs to this, but this is the only good interaction I've found with the Void status effect and Xaku's 1. It could work pretty well on other Warframes, specifically Mesa, but at the moment, like, again, Void is terrible damage type, and they are fixing that to be just true neutral and not have any bonuses or weaknesses, resistances. But it kinda works. But that's the only redeeming quality I've found with Xaku's 1. And they are changing it so that it buffs up a Deny, which is the CC ability, because, this is not going to kill anything, even though it's supposed to do a lot of damage. In fact, its base damage is very, very high. Let me see here. At 4,000, I have 200% power strength, so that goes to 8,000. So it has a very high base damage, more so than the 4th ability. But since it's Void, it doesn't do anything for the most part. But other than that, like, Xaku just does not work. Even against sentience, right? I think you're honestly just better off with, say, Nyx, because you have Gaze, right? I can cast 2 of them, right? So I can get a bigger range, so they overlap. And then I can cast Accuse, so they can't do damage to me, but they actually do a lot of damage to themselves. Only good interaction is with Sentience, and even then, it's not that great. Because you're really not going to have this happen outside of the Simulacrum. Xaku needs new powers. I don't even think the helmet system will help Xaku. It's just that bad. I'm sorry, guys. If maybe the second ability was a toggle, right, and you just do a drive-by and steal everybody's weapons, that could be cool, right, but it's not going to help. The buffs are definitely not going to help. They're going to help operators more than Xaku, actually, but I'm sorry. Anyway, guys, that's all for me. I want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and to catch you guys next time. Peace.